There is a constant or law in evolution. Circumstances and environment form the individual, and only the fittest survive. This is where it all began, in February 1975. A modest beginning to the largest industrial project ever undertaken in Sweden. Håkan Friesinger of Volvo Car Management is working into the night, trying to formulate arguments for an entirely new car. It will take almost 7 years until the first car is presented to the world in February 1982. But Håkan doesn't know that yet. First, he has to convince the board that an entirely new automobile concept is needed to carry Volvo through the 80s.
It's a great leap 10 years into the future, where anything can happen. Of course, we have a fine tradition behind us. Generations of cars whose concept and ideas were in the forefront at the time. But now we need something new. We're almost starting from the beginning again.
And so our story begins. The tale of how a car, still without a name, was born and developed. And yet not a single line has been drawn.
Waiting. Nothing more. And hoping, of course. I am at the beginning of my creation. A vague contour on a blank wall. That's enough for the time being. We're on our way. Before you know it, I'll be in your thoughts, occupying your days and nights. I'm on the way.
The job of product planning is to determine the conditions for the car of tomorrow without paying any attention to Volvo's current production. Hans Gustafsson is named project leader and the work gets underway.
We traveled around the world and talked to many people connected with car development, economy and communications. We began to get a picture of future requirements, tomorrow's consumer, legislation and fuel supply. A car is not just an engine, gearbox and 4 wheels. It's a number of interactive systems which must be designed across different departmental boundaries. A systems concept including both the parts and the whole.
It is now 1976. Rolf Melder brings up a subject which will set the tone for the entire project. The car of the 80s must be a totally economical car. The cost of a car includes more than just purchase price and fuel expenses. Low service costs, limited repairs, low insurance premiums, high trade-in value. More and more, these factors will determine the value of a car. For the first time, service demands enter a new car project right at the design stage. Work on exterior design is now underway. Volvo's chief designer for over 20 years, Jon Vilsgaard, is in charge.
We have a vision which naturally far exceeds what is possible. But we need that vision all the time to keep our perspective alive.
Of 50 sketches on a scale of 1 to 5, a handful will go on to become full-scale drawings. Length, height, axle width, number of doors, and the basic type of chassis are all fixed before sketching begins. But Jon Vilsgaard has sneaked in a sketch which does not follow the specifications in all aspects. And this idea will prove to have amazing power of survival. At first, a mere handful of people, then hundreds. Within the space of another year, there will be thousands working on this project, and all in deepest secrecy.
Now, finally, my contours are taking shape. there's an image of me, or rather, several. I am at the limit of their consciousness. And yet, I still don't exist. Only as a threshold function behind their eyelids. I'm beginning to have characteristics. Give me time and space. Give me logic and arguments. Give me a chance to supplant every other alternative, and I'll prove my value, fulfill their expectations.
October 1976. Two models, number 8 and number 12, have survived. This is the one that should win, but everyone likes the shape of Wilsgård's cutback. What will become of it? Is it to be put on the shelf? Or shall the two be combined? We can't choose. At the end of the year, the managing director of Volvo, Mr. Per Gyllenhammar, issues a warning. The private automobile market is showing signs of saturation. Market backlash will become more common. With reference to future competitiveness, we must aim for a degree of innovation far beyond Model 8. A working group is formed. All the know-how they need can be found within the company. The group is just going to start work. The group leader has an attack of lumbago at his country home outside Gothenburg and cannot be moved. So, if he can't come to the group, then the group will have to come to him instead. They work for 6 weeks in an empty barn, going through the project point by point. They agree that the new car concept is still valid, but how high can they aim? It is decided that the car will be a 5-seater sedan, but it must not weigh more than 1,350 kilos. It will have rear-wheel drive, and the air resistance must not exceed 0.40. The rear axle will have constant tracking, but be suspended by a subframe to hold the noise level down. A comfortable car, of course, but the idea of comfort is extended to involve driver and passenger ergonomics. Service must be easy. Plug-in parts easy to reach and easy to replace. A new series of basic engines is also approved, starting with improving the existing 6-cylinder and also developing new turbo and diesel turbo engines. Model 12 is shown for the last time. The lining from the front to the rear wheels is carried over to Model 8. The cutback continues as an idea project for future development.
Design details can wait. We can use the rest of this year to finalize those. Production engineers, systems engineers, and consumers must also have a say. This is probably the most exciting stage. Naturally, it would be best if we had only one line to follow, but every solution provides a series of alternatives, which must be balanced with the alternatives from other solutions. It's a gigantic jigsaw puzzle in logic. Sometimes it gets out of hand, and we don't really know what happened. But in the middle of it all, we have a motto. We are going to produce a car which can be made and can be sold.
The first full-scale wind tunnel tests in England are now finished. They agree with our own scale model tests at home in Gothenburg. We're well ahead with air resistance, perhaps a little better than expected. We're on our way to the magic limit of 0.40.
For a final check of our ideas and the car's design, it is now tested in product clinics in the United States and Western Germany. Potential customers are specially invited to comment on the cars. None of them knows where the cars come from.
We got a unanimous response. It was the right model. And the ideas behind it were revealed in the design. A car for discriminating people, sporty, technically advanced, and safe. Those were some of the key words. But there were some criticisms too. The windscreen had too much of a slope, so it was later changed.
November the 26th, 1977. The Volvo Design Center in Gothenburg. It is now time to finalize the interior and exterior, and that's the main point on today's agenda.
Design isn't something you dump on top of a mechanical undercarriage. On the contrary, design must radiate the company's philosophy from the inside out, from engineering techniques to comfort and safety. Even the price must be visible.
That's settled. That's the way it will be. The design and dimensions of the car are approved. Everything that's visible outside and inside the car is settled. Soon, a new Volvo will be on the road. The project changes name from P31 to 1155. The inside of the car is slowly taking form.
What did I tell you? Time is in my favor. It's helped me to become known. Now I'm here, a product of your intuition and know-how. I'm the one you imagined and hoped for, the car you drew and designed. I'm the strongest alternative. And now that I'm here, you know you were right.
January 1978. The first prototype ready to drive. But there are still 3.5 years to go before series production. prototype will now undergo an exhaustive testing program. But first, Volvo management will have a look at the car. Questions are asked, earlier misgivings are upheld. There's still a lot of work to do on the interior. But by and large, everyone seems satisfied.
Det är också fullkomligt fantasilöst.
Ja, här måste ju vara ordentliga uppläggsgrejer och sånt. I värsta fall får man resa upp lite.
The interior is the last thing to get its final design. Here, color and material are of decisive importance for the impression people will have of the car. Choices are planned and coordinated down to the tiniest detail. A timeless quality, which will last the lifetime of the car.
It took time, but it has to take time. You need time to get used to it, to see the car in different environments and in different colors. There must be a little resistance to it, otherwise it feels wrong somehow.
Den blev för ljus och för lik en vit, va?
In the summer, the car is in Death Valley, California. The temperature is up around 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The main thing here is to test the climate unit, but also how fabrics, materials, gasoline and other liquids react to extreme heat. Meanwhile, the first test series of 32 cars is under production. A few will be used in crash and shake rig tests. Some will be used to test various detail changes in the interior. Now it's time to start preparations for marketing. The first pictures of the new car are taken, but still it's top secret. At the end of 1978, the prototype is put on trial in a very cold climate. Again, materials and functions are tested under extreme conditions. The driving characteristics on winter roads are also evaluated. The car has new trials in Death Valley, the German Autobahn, Australia, and the Italian Alps. Mile after mile is eaten up in function trials, giving more and more experience. Data from the long-distance trials begins to pour into the testing group in Gothenburg. Many parts of the new car have already been tested for years, built into other Volvo cars. Crash safety has entered a decisive phase. Components have been tested in simulated crash and strength tests, but now it's November 1978 and time for the first complete car from the test series to hit the wall. Speed must be exactly 35 miles, 56.3 kilometers an hour, when the car hits the concrete wall. That's 5 miles more than most other car manufacturers use.
5, 4, 3.
Rune Almqvist is head of the Crash Safety Center and one of the first to comment on the wreck.
As far as I can see, it corresponds to our expectations. It will be a few days until all the measurements from the car and the dummies are evaluated, but it looks good. Of course, we must remember that this is a handmade car. A car from the assembly line will react a little differently.
Dynamic safety. This was a basic philosophy behind the new Volvo and one of the major prerequisites right from the start. One of the men behind the idea was Kurt Nielsen.
Obviously, the car must prevent serious injury to all passengers in the case of an accident. Thanks to driving characteristics, chassis balance, brakes, steering and road holding, the driver has total control of the car in all situations. The car must never surprise the driver, because then it's a dangerous car, no matter how crash-proof it is. It's a well-balanced car. That means it steers well, even in a heavy crosswind. The rear axle, with its subframe, is the best combination of road holding and driving pleasure that I've seen.
I can manage by myself. We're going separate ways, you and I. Now I exist. Now I'm alive. Everything that had to be done has been done.
October 1981. The first car from series production. The first Volvo 760 GLE rolls off the line.
A little nervous, perhaps. There are 4 months to go before the car is introduced, but I'm convinced this is the best car we can make. Perhaps the best car that can be made at all, if you take into account everything we can do, want to do, and hope for.
Perfect.
That's the way it is.